hype about living the dream? It's time for truth. This is the place for tools, power, and real talk so you can create the life you dream and deserve. Your ultimate life. Subscribe, share, create. You have infinite power.
Hello there. Welcome to Your Ultimate Life, the podcast that I've created to help us all create a life of purpose, prosperity, and joy. Today, I titled this Living Love Creates or Equals Peace and Power. Why would I say that? Well, what does it even mean, living love? Living is what we do every day unless we're dead. We might be living in a way healthy way that feels good, or take care of our bodies, take care of our spirits, take care of our relationships. Maybe you're doing that. Maybe you're just kind of cruising along in wistful mediocrity. Wistful mediocrity means, sort of wishing and hoping things were better, but settling for mediocrity, settling for far less than your possibility. And love is the answer to all of this. Or you might be living along with anger, frustration, blaming others, not understanding why your life is like it is. Why does, this have to happen? Or why do these people not, care for me or not talk to me? Maybe you've got estranged relationships. And this episode is released on Valentine's Day, 2025. And that's the day of lovers, but it also reminds me of the day of love. So living is two parts. One is, are you breathing? Is it working? And two, living means the process of how you're living. How is that going on? What's happening? And I invite you to just think about that today. And I just invite you to think about what are the feelings that are flowing through you as you do the physical living. And I don't think we take very much time to analyze, to think about that. Analyze is kind of a clumsy word. To reflect on that. Let's do that. To reflect on how am I living? And so I propose living love because I want you to consider the possibility that two things. One, you get to control that flow of feeling that you experience. And two, you can move it to the love side of the meter. If fear and anger and hate and resentment and apathy and mediocrity, and it's okay, and a little better, and a little bit of creativity and joy, and way over here is pure love, pure enlightenment, pure recognition of the fact that we're really all one. We're together. We are divine expressions of God. God created our spirits, and we don't know how that worked or how that happens. And perhaps if we stay on the path of choice, of love, we'll learn someday and we'll understand how and why this all works. And I'm not trying to explain that today at all, because I'm not going to pretend to have all the details. What I'm sharing with you is what I notice. What I notice is when I move my thoughts to the love, creativity, compassion, forgiveness, enlightenment, unity, when I move my feelings to that end of the spectrum, I'm happier. People around me are happier. I have a positive impact on people's lives, on what they do, on how they run their businesses, on how they create their relationships. So I notice that when I tune my meter to the positive end, my feeling, my flow of being to the positive end, way good things happen for me and for those around me. Now, that's not a surprise. If you walk around happy and being kind and full of love and service, that feels good. We're built that way. We have oxytocin and other transmitters that just feels good when we're in the process of loving and serving. So we're built to experience that good feeling. The question might be, how do you do that all the time? Yeah, here's Valentine's Day, so we're going to send some cards and send some messages of love and maybe even make a heroic effort to be love, to overlook things, to be forgiving, to be positive, to be uplifting today, because it's the day for that. I'm wondering what would happen if we chose to do that all the time. What would happen if you just decided, I'm going to be living love? Living love means love that's alive. Okay. Living love can also mean I'm living in a way that promulgates, that increases, that grows, that develops, that waters, that gives sunlight to the power that love provides. Now, love seems to be the absolute energy that holds everything together. We know that because hate and fear is destructive. So the other end, love, is binding, attractive, and unifying. Love is a verb. It's not just a feeling. And we're going to talk about a little bit more about what the verb to love means. But first, I want to get clear in our minds that it is a conscious choice to live as love or live in love or to be living love. That's a possible choice. And you may or may not want to do that. You may have stories about what that means. You might think, a kid says to their parents, you don't love me if, the kid can't have whatever they want and the parent knows better. Well, maybe we do that to God. We say God doesn't love me because I've got hardships in my life. Right this minute in my own personal life, I've got some back problems and have had for a year and a half. I'm walking with a cane and I've got pain, one in my left hip and my right lower spine. So it makes both sides hurt. Not all the time, but a lot of the time. And, I've wondered, and I've had lots of conversations with God about what the growth path is for me here. I finally learned after many years of my life before not to be frustrated or angry because, one, I trust that God loves me and you. If that's true, or since that's true, then that means every single thing that's happening can be turned for my good if I let it. Sometimes we glibly say to someone, well, everything happens for a reason. And, that sort of cold comfort to someone who's in the midst of a bankruptcy or a betrayal or an illness or some other, catastrophe. Okay, it's a reason. Yeah, okay. Somewhere down the road, that doesn't do much. What I've discovered and I share with you is I've chosen to simply be patient. Okay, be just patient. My old self was impatient. I wanted everything now. I wanted the fast track. I wanted to be able to, if I do hard, then the universe is going to shape itself around my needs. I never said that out loud, but that was sort of the feeling. And one thing I've learned in the afflictions, I don't even think of them as afflictions anymore. And when I count the ones that I personally have, there's a lot. I'm blind without some very strange kind of contact lenses. When I can't wear glasses because I see double because my corneas are all wrinkled. And so I wear some special lenses that allow me to see it all. I wear hearing aids. I've got pain in my back on both sides and blah, 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 right? What I've learned to do is just to allow that. That is what is. And I have chosen to be patient. In that choice, it's not a resignation. Okay, this is all I got, I guess. So I'm going to make the best of it. That's one place I could be, or you could be. I don't find that to be very creative, and I don't find it to be helpful or powerful because it always carries the seeds of resentment. It always carries the seeds of questioning. It always carries the feeling of why me and why won't this go away? And I'm trying to do good, be good, add good to the world. I'm trying to reach 300 million people with a message of purpose, prosperity, and joy. Why don't I get some help? I could feel all those things. And those thoughts show up. And I've long since learned that they're not creative or productive or positive. What is creative or productive and positive is how can I be living love today? So as I even make this episode for you, I ask you to consider that. How can you be living love? And what can you experience because of that? As I mentioned earlier, we don't usually pay very much attention to the flow that's going through us. We react to it. Something happens and we get frustrated, or some negative thing happens and we get angry. And so then we, express that anger in different ways, either stuff it and simmer or yell at somebody or do whatever. Or something good happens and we get all excited, but it's all sort of reactive. And the question or the challenge I would give you is this: 10 times today, just stop. Stop what you're doing, disconnect. Go by yourself for just 30 seconds to say, what am I feeling right now? Am I feeling creative, positive, like I'm committed to doing something good, lift, bless, serve? You could, I just challenge you to do that. Now, I'm not pretending you should be frantically running around trying to do good every single second. I don't think frantic is the word anywhere in the sentence that God would use to describe his desired, our learning environment. But a steady growth is what we experience as humans. So we grow steadily and slowly when we go to school or get an education of any kind, acquiring a skill, woodworking. My son, one of my sons is a spectacular woodworker, carpenter, loves working with exotic woods and making gorgeous furniture. And I've seen some of the pieces and they're staggering. But he got that skill in a period of growth and still develops it. So growth is an intentional process also. Now, sometimes we're forced, we're dropped, as it were, into circumstances that, push us toward growth. Example, you get sick and you're in the hospital. You can spend your whole time railing and angry, or you can make your peace with it, be friendly, be uplifting. And you've seen the stories of someone who spent a month in the hospital and all the nurses and staff love being around them because they're positive. You've also seen stories about people that are angry and frustrated and hard to get along with. Those are choices. Living love. So on this day of love, I invite you to adopt a new habit. Stop 10 times every day. Just ask, what am I feeling? And then ask yourself this profound and revealing question. Is the way I'm living and feeling right now the highest expression of myself? Is this the best that I can be? And almost always the answer is no. Sometimes we are really trying to do that. And here's the caution that I give myself and everyone else. Asking that question and having the answer be, I'm not, is not about judgment. It's not about bad. It's not about anything. It's about creating an empty field for choice. Because by asking that question, you create a choice. When we're unaware, we don't have a choice because we're not aware that we're living and accepting a feeling at a certain level. If we're being woo-woo, we call it vibration. I'm accepting the vibration of anger, frustration, mediocrity, resignation, settling, creativity, positivity, uplift, enlightenment, love, support, caring, or in the middle somewhere, apathy, who cares? The feeling that we create, call it a vibration, but because it vibrates out. The energy of those emotions is very transmittable and palpable. And that because when you're around someone that has a vibe, it. We call it good vibrations, vibe. I got a bad vibe about this, bad feeling. Okay. So there's the first question or first thought. Be aware of what you're feeling and make a conscious choice to move it higher or, to the right. If you're doing I have a recording studio, so I think of those old VU meters, right? That go from one side to the other. Or think of a ladder that goes up the ladder of consciousness or, higher on the meter toward love. Today, Valentine's Day, is a day of thinking about that, particularly for those we love more romantically. But it really applies to every being with whom we have a relationship. One of the things that I do that I find really helpful is I make a conscious choice to think about each person I'm talking to. So right now I'm thinking about you. I make a conscious choice to think about you and think, how can I love you? How can I say, vibe, or do something that lifts your spirits? Not because I have to, not because I'm trying to get brownie points, but because that's who I want to be. I want to be this energy of beautiful sunset. That's behind me. I hope you're watching the video because this is a beautiful picture. I think I took it from an airplane as the sun was going down between a layer of clouds. And it was just gorgeous. I want to be that. And I reflect that desire in one of my PTAC statements. It says, I am love pouring over your soul like warm sunshine to create miracles in the moment. And I use that descriptive language because I know what warm sunshine feels like. And I know what it feels like to both create or receive miracles, miraculous, unexpected, joy, uplift, support. What if we chose to be that uplift and support? Sometimes I certainly have found myself asking this question. Well, if I'm busy loving and supporting everyone else, who the flip's going to support me? Who's going to help me? And here's what I've discovered about that question. While it was real at the time, I've never found it to be empowering. I've never found it to raise my spirits or anyone else. What I have found is that when I ask that question silently in my mind because of some circumstance, my energy goes down, my access to inspiration and power goes down. And when I don't think about it, or when I dismiss it, when that fleeting thought comes with the certainty that God is in control and there is a path, my creativity goes up, my energy goes up, and I find myself to be a conduit of power. So I have 3 little sayings that I use to remind me who I want to be, and I'm going to share them with you and invite you to think about what your words would be. So I say I live each day as a beacon of light, a vessel of love, and a conduit of power. A beacon of light, let your light so shine before men that they may see your good works and glorify God. So I intentionally try to lift and bless people so they can glorify God. And the way I do it is to remind you of who you are as a divine being. That's one way that I intentionally live in a place of love. And I invite you to think about it because you really are a divine being. You were created by the same God I was. You were given gifts and talents, and you have infinite possibilities. And the only limit to mine or your possibilities are the ones that we set and accept. So beacon of light is number 1. A vessel of love means that I have and am a reservoir of love, acceptance of where people are, forgiveness of everything for everyone, and just have patience and grace and compassion. What I found to be true is that I never really understand why someone did or said something. I don't. And rather than assume it to be negative, I've chosen to have compassion and grace and patience. I might ask a question, did you mean this or that? And try to get to full understanding, but not from a place of I'm hurt or I judge you or anything else, because I find that sort of judgy word to be like a teaspoon of poison all the time. So beacon of light, vessel of love, and a conduit of power. And I use conduit on purpose. I don't have any power. I'm a divine creation, but my power and yours comes through our connection to the divine. When we're completely left to ourselves, we don't last very long or we can't do much. God created the world so it has air and water and all the things necessary to support our lives. And I think Jesus was asked that question, about that. And he said, which one of you by taking thought can add a cubit to your stature? Now, a cubit is, I think, 18 or 19 inches. We can't even add 2 inches. Well, you can buy some platform shoes. But we don't really have power to do very much. Yet, if we'll be a conduit, we have infinite power, which means you and me, we can create anything if we'll access the divine power that is our heritage. Now, here's the thing about that living love. It can be really difficult. We might feel hurt, angry, want to get revenge, or ignore everybody, or be left alone, or whatever. Those are normal and natural things. For me, at least, the invitation and challenge of life is How do I get past that? How do I become something more refined? And I have my own definition of refined, and I expect that you do too. For me, refined means more loving, uh, more energetically positive. You know how it's like to be around someone who's negative. I have had very close acquaintances that are everything they say is negative, always complaining about this, that, the weather, government, other people, situations, how, just sort of some a little low level and some really loudly, right? It depends on who they are. They're not a lot of fun. They're not a lot of joy. They're not positive to be around. And without worrying about how they got that way or why they choose that path, just being in that space of negativity is challenging. Knowing that and experiencing that, as I'm sure you have, I've made a choice to be the opposite. I want to be the person who carries joy, who carries energy, who gives acknowledgement and recognition. I acknowledge you. If you're listening to this podcast, then you are a person who says, I want to be positive. I want to create the ultimate life. I want to choose a life purpose. I'm going to use that life purpose to create prosperity for myself and others. And consequently, I want to live in joy all the time. Or you wouldn't be watching this, because this podcast is about purpose, prosperity, and joy. So I honor you for that. I love you for that. I know you've been through hardships and struggle, and I love you anyway. And because of that, because you're still here, you're still standing. Excuse me. So I know that about you, even though perhaps I haven't met you, although I'd love to. This is a chance for me to give you an invitation. URL on the screen, KellenFlukigerMedia.com, KellenFlukigerMedia.com. Go there. There's a bunch of stuff you may or may not know about me. And there's also some books that you can use if they will help you. And there's an opportunity to connect there, because I love having guests on this show to talk about their view, your view of how to create purpose, prosperity, and joy, how to choose your purpose, how to lift and bless others, and how to share and spread love. I'm constantly amazed by the stories of people that I get to have on this show. Just the last guest I had, just last episode, Peter, what a story. What a commitment. One of the things he does is help people end their self-judgment. And it isn't that we don't make mistakes and have to fix them. Of course we do. But we walk around with 10,000 pounds of self-judgment. Oh, I shouldn't have said that. Oh, that's not good. Oh, that won't work. Oh, I shouldn't. Oh, I should already have known that. And 1,000 other expressions. And that's heavy, and you know it. In fact, often we do it so much we don't even know we're doing it. And we think, well, it's true. I should have. What if you simply forgave yourself for every judgment? Acknowledge that you are a human who makes mistakes, and your whole goal is to do good, be good, and get better. But what if you lived there? Then all that 1,000 pounds or 10,000 pounds of weight of rocks of self-judgment would be gone. And the only thing that would be left is your yearning to add good to the world and to create positivity, to serve others. One of the things I love most about the coaching business is that is a profession where we coaches have decided to be professional encouragers, professional mindset alchemists, professional gift cultivators. And so what that means is I get to sit with people and help them find their passion, their gifts, their barriers, and then eliminate them so that they can see glorious possibilities and have the courage and energy to pursue them. They can see how much they can love themselves already. They can see how good they already are, regardless of where they're trying to go. They can see the power that they have to do good, to be good, to love themselves and love others. Being in that space of continually creating possibility, motivation, energy, vision, growth. It's a spectacular profession. And I love it. I've been now 17 years, going on 18, since I changed my whole life completely and started on the path of self-healing and then being of service to others in that same way. And it's by far more valuable in terms of helping things happen in the world than all the executive work I did for 30 years. I had a 30-year career before that in the energy industry in the US and Canada, which included a lot of high-level positions and decision making that was 9 figures, billions of dollars, and all kinds of stuff. And there's a sense of power and blah, blah, blah. It didn't have anything close to the feeling of joy and fulfillment that happen now when I get to help you love yourself more, see your true possibility, and then do something with it. Purpose. That's my purpose. Prosperity for you and for me, for both of us. And joy, pure joy. Now, purpose is something you're going to choose or not, but it's difficult to do when you're busy judging yourself and when you're drowning in guilt and when you're busy hiding and when you're settling for mediocrity. So people come and say, I have no idea what my purpose is. Well, the life that you're choosing, that flow of emotion, isn't one of love and growth. It's of survival and barely getting by and hiding and judgment. It's impossible to effectively choose a purpose for your year, let alone your life, when that is the swimming pool you're in, the pool of mediocre or negative emotion. It's really difficult to choose. So the first thing we need to do is clean out the water. When it's clear, then we can see, that's what I love to do. That's what I want to do. So purpose isn't just a matter of choosing. It's a matter of cleaning up the atmosphere so you can. Because we got to get rid of that judgment and negativity before you can even see clearly about what you want. And prosperity, and that includes making money, but it also includes spiritual prosperity. Prosperity comes of its own accord, including cash, when we clear the air, we choose a purpose, and then we serve with all our hearts. Now, your purpose may be as an attorney or an accountant or an engineer, as an author, as an artist, as a coach like I am. That may be the highest and best expression of your divine gifts. I don't know, but finding that and then committing to it is such a joyful journey. So here's the next thing I want to ask you to do. First, I've asked you to stop 10 times every day and just notice the flow of emotion through you. What's going on? Right? Notice that. And then make a conscious choice. Is the flow of emotion that I'm experiencing what I want? Is it in line with my highest self? Now, if I'm having a pity party and feeling bad, that's a difficult place to be. I can end that and say, I don't care if nobody's noticing or praising me. Instead, what I'm going to do is just be full of love. I'm going to be a beacon of light and a vessel of love and a conduit of power. What I found, the ultimate answer, when I said, gee, if I do that and I serve others and I do all that, who's going to take care of me? When I had that thought or feeling, I've discovered that Heavenly Father, God, our Creator, just pours it in. Just pours it in. And I don't need any longer to go look for that. Oh, it's fun when someone recognizes you. I gave 2-3 talks in the last 2 weeks, and I got lots of comments and positive accolades, and people wanted to talk afterwards, and all that stuff feels good, no question. And I thank people profusely and deflect it back to them, not because I don't want to receive, I receive, but I remind them that you have every gift that you need, every gift to make you a beacon of light, vessel of love, and a conduit of power in your way. So notice 10 times a day, make a conscious choice. If I'm not being the person I want to be right now and giving off the vibe, the energy, the love, the encouragement, then change it. You can choose to be living love. Now, if you're rusty at that, it takes some practice. If that's not what you've been doing, then it's going to seem weird. Just like, eating in a restaurant you've never eaten before, and you eat regularly at fast food places and you go to fancy, or you eat regularly at fancy and then you go to a diner dive. It might seem a little awkward, and maybe that's a crummy example, but you know what I mean. So that's okay. You got to stick with it. And you have to make a practice of filling your own cup. Now, this is the last thing we're going to talk about today is how do you fill your own cup? Because you can't serve from an empty bowl. You can't serve from an empty vessel. You can't keep pouring yourself out on people with love and encouragement. You'll be dry. So there's lots of ways to go about this. I'm going to tell you what I do. I get up every day, every single day without fail, and I fill my cup, overflowing, so that I had a friend that said serving from the saucer. I have a saucer and a cup. If your cup's always overflowing, then you're serving everybody from the saucer. So I like that imagery. And how I fill my cup is I have a morning ritual. I call it a DCP, daily creation process. I create my body and my spirit, my soul. I create my body by some exercises. I create my spirit with prayer and meditation. And my PTAC, personal truth document. I teach how to do that in this book, Living with Purpose and Power, about how to create a document that's so powerful. When you speak those holy words, it lights your heart and the walls of your room on fire. That's what it feels like. You're flaming with intent, with love, energy, and focus. Wow. Yeah, you can have that. It took me a long time to develop how to do that. And maybe it'll take someone else way shorter. It took me some years. But I have it. And it works without question, without fail every day. The key is doing it every day. Because if I don't, and I used to struggle, I don't have time and all that sort of excuse. And I immediately notice when I do it, I feel good and good things happen. When I don't, whether or not it's a good day depends on externalities. When you prepare yourself, every day is a good day, a fabulous day. In fact, it's the best day of your life. So I can tell you for sure how to do that. If you want details, get that book, Living with Purpose and Power. If you're watching the video, there it is, Living with Purpose and Power. It's the best book in the world about how to create yourself powerfully so that you are invincible and you can create the life you want, the money you want, the impact you want, and live in joy all the time. I give you 3 invitations. One, if you're living that kind of ultimate life already, will you please reach out and contact me? I love to know more people like that. We need as many as we can get. And maybe you have a story you'd like to share on the show here or on my LA Talk radio show. I don't know. So that's invitation number 1. Number 2, would you share this message of love, hope, and blessing with 2 people? Would you share this episode with 2 people you think need to be encouraged and loved? And number 3, love yourself deeply, fearlessly, and furiously. You're a divine being. You're worth every effort. You're worth every blessing. And you truly have the power and the resources to change whatever you need to change in your life and live in purpose, prosperity, and joy. In other words, you have the power to create your ultimate life.
Never hold back and you'll never ask why. Open your heart and this time around.
Right here, right now. Your opportunity for massive growth is right in front of you. Every episode gives you practical tips and practices that will change everything. If you want to know more, go to KellenFlukigerMedia.com. If you want more free tools, go here, YourUltimateLife.ca. Subscribe. Share.
Stand with your heart in the sky and your